Here's a few random facts about people living with albinism. Oh, and by the way, happy Albinism Awareness Month. People with albinism and people living with albinism have different variations of eyesight. Mine in question is quite bad, it's quite poor. I know people who have worse eyesight than mine, so it does get quite bad. And I believe it is seen as per our constitution here in South Africa, it's seen as a disability because it's a certain level of blindness. Some people even have different, when they're looking at a certain image, they have different patches of color that show up, which is obviously quite bad. I'm fortunate enough to have clear vision, but it's quite blurry because I have I think they call it nystagma or something like that. I don't know. I'll look up the word and I'll see what it says, which is basically the reason why my pupil is just constantly shaking. Not really shaking, but just moving about like all the time. So that's basically why my eyesight is quite blurry, to a point where it is not correctable through glasses or spectacles rather. So guys, if you see someone with albinism, even when they're wearing their spectacles, don't assume or think that how you should be able to see you wearing spectacles or anything like that, because it's completely not correctable by any kind of like lens or any kind of optical. As per my knowledge right now, that's what I know. There might be new technology, there might be something out there, but trust me guys, I have gone through all of it. I've asked about laser, I've asked about contact lenses, all of the things that I know. As per my knowledge, currently there's nothing that can help us. So the second fact about people living with albinism is that we can actually be in the sun. I think at this point, guys, we're all aware that there are certain precautions that one can take to protect their skin against harmful sun rays. For instance, I think the most popular is sunscreen. At this point, even people with melanin use sunscreen to protect themselves. So it's the same thing that we do, guys. We also wear sunscreen. It's just that for us, it's a bit more compulsory because our skin is super sensitive to the sun rays, and we are prone to skin cancer. So it's very crucial and important that we make sure we always have sunscreen on us, and we always wear sunscreen. I always wear sunscreen. There's different types of sunscreen, and there's different SPF levels. I personally use SPF 50. I think it's enough for me. I've never really had any problems with sunburn or anything like that after using sunscreen SPF 50. It doesn't even matter which brand it is, from the cheapest to the most expensive. I think they all basically do the same thing, or they do the thing that needs to be done with us. It's just a matter of finding the skin types that you are. I have skin that's prone to oil, like I'm very oily. I've got very oily skin, so I try to use sunscreen that isn't going to be greasy or oily, that's going to have a matte finish. But otherwise, I always just extra mattify with my Color Stay Revlon. Fun fact, I also use, or rather I used to use baby powder. Baby powder is actually very efficient. I prefer it more than this. It's just that I'm just lazy to go buy it, but like it literally makes my skin look like a bum, like a baby's bum. Okay, so last fact about people living with albinism is that albinism is actually genetic, or rather hereditary, because it's something that is seen to be picked up from the genes, either from the male or the female. But it is something that goes back. It can skip obviously certain generations. In most instances, when you ask someone with albinism if anyone else in their family currently has the same skin condition or has ever had it in the past, most likely they'll tell you that there is someone. Like with me, I have a sister who also has albinism. So yeah. And lastly, guys, I think this is maybe a fourth fact, possibly, but this is just for me on my side. I think I just like to close off with saying that ultimately we're all human beings. We all want to be loved, and we all want a sense of belonging. So I think when you are around people with albinism, try your best not to make it awkward for them or make them notice that you are somewhat uncomfortable around them. Treat us like you would treat anyone else. I think we all just want to be treated like human beings at the end of the day, because we can sense and we can see when, you know, there's something off, like in the vibes that you're giving. We can see it, because I'm a very outgoing person. I go to a lot of like parties and stuff, and most of the time I do get those energies and those vibes, and it makes me very, very anxious to even go out or want to be around people. But I try to push that away, you know. I try to feed off of my own energy when that happens, but sometimes it's really hard. Sometimes you're just not in the mood to fight back other people's energies. So just be cognizant of the fact that we really just want to be human. We are human beings actually, and we really just want to be normal and fit in and do whatever, do anything that we want to do, just like anyone else really. But yeah, those are my random facts about albinism.